Hey guys, this is Zach with Fit Mechanical out of Phoenix, Arizona, and today we're going to be going over the assembly of the VANDER M14. So for step one, what we want to do is open up our crate and lay out the contents of that crate on the floor. Prior to building your VANDER M14, it's important to note that your unit does come with its own tool set. However, to make your life much easier, I would recommend that you have some type of drill or driver. You'll want a 17 and 14 open-ended wrench. You'll also want a 14, a 17, and a 1 1/4 inch socket. So for step two, what we want to do is assemble our rear uprights of the machine. To do so, we'll need both crossbars, our pegboard storage, our VANDER rear storage rack, as well as all 8 of our weight storage pegs. On this step, it's important to note that in between each storage peg, you've got 6 holes. This will allow for proper spacing between your stored weight plates. It's important to note during step 2 not to tighten any of your assembly bolts until instructed. All right, once you have the rear upright assembly completely put together, what you'll want to do is stand the unit up. What you may need is a second person to help you lift this into place. All right, once we have the rear uprights in place, we're going to go ahead and move on to step 3. Step 3 involves installing the frame of the unit. So during this step, it's important to note that this rear barbell storage can either be put right down here or it can be put into this spot, depending on how high your ceiling is for the unit. So continuing with step 3, we're now going to put the front uprights on. It's important to note during this step that your front uprights are numbered. It's also important on this step to remember to slide your adjustable carriage onto the front upright. All right, so continuing with the frame assembly in step 3, we're now going to put this pull-up bar on. This pull-up bar can either go on the left side of the unit or on the right side of the unit. For this assembly, we're going to put it on the right side of the unit. So continuing with step 3, we're now going to install the front pull-up bar. This is a heavy bar that may require a second pair of hands. As we wrap up step number 3 in regards to the frame, you're actually going to want to go ahead and install your landmine at this time as well. Keep in mind that you can either put the landmine on the left as it's shown here, or you can put it on the opposite side. Alrighty, now that we're wrapping up step 3, it's important to note that this is how your machine should look after step 3. You can now go ahead and tighten all of your frame assembly bolts. Alrighty, so we're all wrapped up with step 3, which was putting the frame together. We're now going to move on to step 4, which is installing the weight stacks on the unit. During this step, it's really important to remember that you put the 2 weight stack bumpers in place prior to sliding any of the weights onto the guide rods. So it's also important to remember that you have the plastic bushings facing up prior to sliding the weights onto the guide rods. During the weight stack step, it's also important to remember to keep these bars up as much as possible so that they don't fall back or fall forward. Alrighty, so now that we're done with step 4, which was putting on the weight stacks, we're now going to move on to step 5. Step 5 is going to be installing your 2 cables. During step 5 of installing your cables, it's important to note that you've got 3 different sizes of pulleys. You've got 2 large pulleys, you've got 8 small pulleys, and you've got 10 medium-sized pulleys. This is going to come into play as we route the cable, and I'll tell you exactly where each pulley goes. So when starting with your cable, we're going to want to use our longest cable here first, and we're going to start here at the adjustable pulley carriage. We're going to go over a medium pulley here. We're going to go underneath another medium pulley here. We're going to go through the frame and underneath another medium pulley here. We're then going to go up over these pulleys here, down to your weight stack, and underneath a small pulley here. We're going to go back up over the top of these two pulleys here, underneath another small pulley here in this carriage. Then we're going to go all the way up top here, over this pulley here, and down to your adjustable carriage, where you're going to use the smallest bolt to attach this cable to that adjustable carriage. So continuing with the cable assembly, you're now going to use your second and shorter cable here at this pulley carriage. So you've got two small pulleys in this carriage here. That cable goes over the front upright and over a large pulley here in the rear. Your cable then comes all the way down to the bottom of the frame, underneath a medium pulley here, and then straight up to this carriage here, where we already had a small pulley from the last cable. So continuing along with our cable install, it's important to note at this time that you do have a couple of different adjustments to that cable. You can either make this cable tighter or looser depending on which hole this particular bolt is in. You can also adjust the play within this top weight stack using these bolts here. If you're getting too much movement side to side, lower the bolts down so they make contact with the underside of that weight stack, and you'll start getting a lot less movement here with this adjustment. So wrapping up step number 5, you can now go ahead and tighten all of these different pulley bolts. You can then go ahead and repeat each of those steps on the opposite side. So as we wrap up with step 5, you can now go ahead and install all of your attachments. Your attachments are going to include 2 J-cups, 2 long spotters, a dip bar. You also have a low row foot rack and a lap pull down seat. All right, guys, your very last step is going to be installing your commercial adjustable bench. This commercial adjustable bench only requires that you install the rear leveling foot. This commercial adjustable bench will also come with a preacher curl attachment and a leg curl leg extension attachment. Well, it was a pleasure showing you exactly how to assemble the VANDER M14. I hope you enjoy your new machine. It's time to get to work.